Hey everyone, and welcome. I am Zaberwolf, and we are back doing another review. This week I went to the cinema with my wife, and we watched Jason Bourne, the fourth Bourne film to star Matt Damon as the titled character, Jason Bourne, and the fifth in the franchise. While it still doesn't show any kind of link to the previous Bourne film, starring Jeremy Renner, it does, nonetheless, turn out to be a very good film and an enjoyable one. Now, I haven't had a chance to go back over the previous four, personally. We own them, and I will watch them again and see how this one holds up to them. My memory's a little fuzzy on those. But all in all, it was a really enjoyable film. There were a couple of things which annoyed me, were a little overdone, shaky cam being one of them. But I'll go into those in more detail in the spoiler review. But I'm getting down to the basics on this one. It continues the story. They find a way to continue the story where the last film with Jason Bourne in ended with him knowing who he was, where he came from, and deciding to just go off the grid and leaving it alone. This one picks up there with Agent Nikki Parsons, played by Julia Stiles still, digging into some history and finding out some more stuff about Bourne that he really should know, and so going to find him, and this drags him back out of his off-the-grid life. Everybody knows where he is again, and they want to get at him. And so that's where, that's the lead in, and all in all, I think it was really well written. It did kind of reuse some of the things from previous stories, but given the world that they've built, it's not surprising that some things are going to happen multiple times to the same person. It's really not that. But they do delve a lot more into his history, and it's so. It builds a better character and a more in-depth world, leading more into how we got to Jason Bourne, the character we know, more about why he became who he is and how that all turned about. It's such a good film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go out and watch it because it's just one of those films. Matt Damon once again turns in a star performance. Julia Stiles, she does a great job. There are a couple of new actors and actresses in it. Tommy Lee Jones is in it. He does a great job playing the head of the CIA. Again, they allude to yet another Black Ops operation with very little detail. I mean, we've had Treadstone, we've had Blackbriar. I can't even remember the part that the Black Ops operation which led to the creation of Aaron from the Bourne Legacy film. But they do a lot of good things. Now, there is a flashback scene, and obviously Matt Damon's aged a bit since the first time he played Bourne. And so they did de-age him with CGI, but as a la the image which you can see right now, they use the aged footage look, so it's not really heavily noticeable like you would have on a lot of other films. You know, your mind looks at that and goes, this is a new scene, he's not that young, this has to be CGI, so it's your eyes are just instantly trying to pick out this stuff, but because of the aged footage look, it really holds well. Whereas if we go back to the very first film I remember doing that, X-Men 3, yeah, that looked terrible. This looks a lot better. All in all, it's a great film. It continues to build on the legacy of the previous three with Matt Damon. I'm not really sure if it builds on Bourne Legacy, mainly because it really doesn't seem to have any tie-in. I do hold out hope that they are going to merge those two over and keep them connected and maybe have the two work together. It could be an interesting story plot point. But it was a good return to form with Matt Damon back leading as Jason Bourne, and I cannot complain about how good this film turned out. Well, those are my early thoughts. That's my base review, and I am now going to move on to the spoiler review. If you want to watch that, click the link below, which will be active once it's uploaded, and we'll go head on over to the spoiler review.